There is a famous story about Rolls-Royce that may or may not be true. A journalist once asked a company engineer what the loudest sound inside a Rolls-Royce was at 60 miles per hour. The engineer thought for a moment and replied, "The ticking of the clock." Whether the story is real does not matter. What matters is that everyone who has ever sat inside a Rolls-Royce believes it could be true. Because the silence inside these cars is not just quiet, it is a different kind of quiet. The kind that feels intentional, engineered, almost alive. Most car manufacturers try to reduce noise. Rolls-Royce tries to eliminate it. And the difference between those two goals is the difference between a good car and something that feels like it exists outside the normal rules of the road. So how do they do it? How does a machine with a 6.5-liter engine, 4 wheels rolling on asphalt, and air rushing over its body at highway speed manage to feel like a sealed room? The answer is not one thing. It is hundreds of things, layered together with an obsessiveness that borders on madness. It starts with the body. A Rolls-Royce body is not simply a shell stamped from steel and bolted together. The panels are fitted with tolerances so tight that wind has almost nowhere to enter or whistle through. The gaps between doors and frames, between the hood and the fenders, between the trunk lid and the body, are measured and adjusted by hand, not by machine, by human hands, using techniques that have been refined over decades. The doors themselves are a masterpiece of noise isolation. A Rolls-Royce door is significantly heavier than the door on a typical luxury car. Not because the metal is thicker, though it often is, but because the door is filled with layers of sound-deadening material that absorb vibration before it can reach the cabin. When you close a Rolls-Royce door, you hear a sound that has become legendary, a deep, soft, authoritative thud. Not a click, not a slam. A thud that tells you, without words, that the outside world has been sealed away. That door sound is not an accident. Rolls-Royce engineers spend hundreds of hours tuning the acoustic signature of the door closing. They adjust the latch mechanism, the rubber seals, the weight distribution within the door panel, and the density of the insulation until the sound meets a specific standard. The goal is not just quietness, it is a particular quality of quietness. The sound must communicate solidity, permanence, and craftsmanship in a single half-second moment. Behind the visible surfaces, the story goes deeper. The floor of a Rolls-Royce is lined with multiple layers of composite materials designed to block road noise from entering the cabin from below. Tire roar, surface texture, expansion joints, gravel, rain on pavement. Each of these generates a different frequency of sound. A single material cannot block all of them effectively, so Rolls-Royce uses a combination of dense barriers, soft absorbers, and decoupling layers that work together to address the full spectrum of road-generated noise. The tires are specially developed in partnership with tire manufacturers. Standard luxury tires are designed for comfort and grip. Rolls-Royce tires are designed for those things, plus an additional requirement that most tire companies rarely receive: acoustic performance. The tread patterns are optimized to minimize the specific frequencies of road noise that are most intrusive to the human ear. Some Rolls-Royce models use tires with foam liners inside the cavity of the tire itself, absorbing the resonance that occurs when air vibrates inside the spinning tire at speed. It is a detail that no passenger will ever see, but they will feel its absence. The engine is another chapter in this story. The twin turbocharged V12 that powers most modern Rolls-Royce models is not just powerful, it is specifically tuned to be felt rather than heard. The engine mounts are hydraulic, designed to absorb vibration before it reaches the chassis. The exhaust system is routed and insulated to minimize any drone or resonance entering the cabin. At idle, the engine is nearly undetectable from the driver's seat. At highway speed, it remains a distant hum, present only as a reassurance that power is available, never as an intrusion. The transmission plays its part as well. Gear changes in a Rolls-Royce are calibrated to be imperceptible. The automatic gearbox shifts with a smoothness that eliminates the subtle jolt most luxury cars still produce during gear transitions. The calibration engineers test these shifts thousands of times, adjusting the electronic controls until the transition from one gear to the next produces no perceptible change in sound, vibration, or momentum inside the cabin. The glass is not standard automotive glass. Rolls-Royce uses laminated acoustic glass in the windshield and side windows. This glass contains a thin layer of acoustic vinyl, sandwiched between two layers of glass. The vinyl layer damps vibrations that would otherwise transmit wind noise and external sounds directly into the cabin. The difference between acoustic glass and standard glass is difficult to measure with instruments at low speeds, but at 70 or 80 miles per hour, it becomes profoundly noticeable. The wind disappears. Not reduces, disappears. Even the paint contributes. Rolls-Royce applies more coats of paint than virtually any other manufacturer. Each layer adds a microscopic amount of mass and damping to the body panels. Individually, the effect is negligible. Collectively, across every panel of the car, it adds another thin barrier between the outside world and the interior. The ventilation system is designed to operate in near silence. Air conditioning fans, even at high settings, produce minimal audible noise. The air ducts are lined with acoustic material. The vents themselves are shaped to minimize turbulence, which is the primary source of noise in any forced air system. Rolls-Royce engineers discovered decades ago that the human ear is extraordinarily sensitive to the sound of moving air. Even a faint whisper of airflow from a vent can destroy the sense of total isolation they work so hard to create. There is also the matter of what Rolls-Royce adds to the silence. In some models, the audio system includes a feature that generates a low-level ambient sound to mask any remaining micro noises that the insulation cannot fully eliminate. This is not artificial engine noise, like some sports car manufacturers pipe through speakers. It is a carefully designed neutral tone, almost imperceptible, that fills the frequency gaps where tiny road or wind noises might otherwise become noticeable. It is the acoustic equivalent of a perfectly smooth white wall. You do not notice it, you only notice its absence. The cumulative effect of all these decisions is something that cannot be expressed in decibel measurements alone. Other luxury manufacturers publish noise levels. Rolls-Royce does not, because they believe the experience of silence is subjective and cannot be reduced to a number. What they pursue is not a measurement, it is a sensation. The feeling that when you close the door and the car begins to move, you have entered a space that is separate from the world outside. Time slows, stress fades. The road exists, but it exists at a distance, as if observed through thick glass. This pursuit has been part of Rolls-Royce's identity since the earliest days of the company. Henry Royce, one of the founders, was famously obsessive about noise and vibration. He believed that mechanical noise was evidence of imperfection, and that a truly great machine should operate as close to silence as physically possible. That belief has been carried forward through every generation of engineers who have worked at the company. It is not a marketing decision, it is a philosophical one. Other manufacturers have tried to approach this standard. Mercedes-Benz, Bentley, and BMW all invest heavily in noise reduction. Some of them come remarkably close, but close is not the same as equal. The difference between a very quiet car and a Rolls-Royce is the difference between dimming the lights and turning them off completely. One reduces the disturbance, the other removes it. Silence in a Rolls-Royce is not the absence of something, it is the presence of something. It is the presence of thousands of hours of engineering, testing, adjusting, and refusing to accept anything less than perfection. It is craftsmanship made invisible. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, but the moment the door closes, you know it is there. And that is perhaps the most extraordinary engineering achievement of all. building something so precise, so layered, so intentional that the result feels like nothing at all. If you appreciate the engineering behind the world's greatest machines, subscribe to Timeless Treasures and hit the bell. We go beyond the surface to reveal the stories, the science, and the obsession behind the vehicles that defined what excellence means.